In the northern Puget Sound of Washington state lies an archipelago of islands called the San Juan Islands. This site was the location of a border dispute and conflict between Great Britain and the United States. This confrontation is referred to as the Pig War. In the late 1700s, Spain and Great Britain sent teams to explore and claim the islands. The United States did so in the mid-1800s, and in 1818 the Spanish abandoned their claim to the region, and in 1846 the United States and Great Britain signed the Treaty of Oregon, establishing the border at the 49th parallel from the Rocky Mountains to the coast. However, the language of the treaty was vague and did not specify how to divide the Puget Sound. The Americans preferred the border to be on the Haro Strait, making the San Juan Islands U.S. territory. However, the British preferred the border to be on the Rosario Strait and give them the islands. In 1845, the British claimed San Juan Island. In March of 1853, however, the Americans disregarded this claim and claimed the whole archipelago in the newly created Washington Territory. That December, the British built a farm and started sending people to live on the island. Fast forward to the spring of 1859, several Americans had settled on the island along with the British. The British on the island considered the American claims false and the American inhabitants squatters. Tensions had been rising between the American and British on the island, and on June 15th, for an American named Lyman Cutler, they had reached a boiling point. A pig belonging to Charles Griffin, a British settler, was destroying his garden, so Cutler shot the pig. Obviously, they realized they both had lost their tempers and came to an agreement and settled their differences. Oh wait, no, they didn't. The British wanted to arrest Cutler and kick all the Americans off the island. In July, the American settlers asked for help from the military in Oregon. A company of 64 United States soldiers arrived on the island led by George E. Pickett. Governor of Vancouver Island, James Douglas, angered by U.S. troops landing on what he believed to be British territory, sent 3 warships to evict the Americans from the island. With both armies armed and angry, tensions were high. The Americans dug in and brought cannons to fortify their position while the British executed gun drills from their warships. Rear Admiral R. Lambert Baines, commander of the British naval forces in the Pacific, was called in to assess the situation. When he discovered that he was sent to potentially start a war with the United States over the death of a pig, you can say he was less than happy. He advised Governor Douglas that he would not involve 2 great nations in a war over a squabble about a pig. Although the British and American soldiers were there to oppose each other, they actually attended church together and traded with one another. With tensions in the South rising when President Buchanan discovered he could possibly be going to war with the British over a pig, he sent General Winfield Scott, who had resolved previous border disputes, to calm the situation. In 1860, both sides reached a resolution to jointly occupy the island until they could settle the dispute. In April of 1861, the American Civil War began and Captain Pickett resigned to head back home to Virginia, where he joined the Confederacy. While the U.S. was busy mopping up the mess of the Civil War, San Juan Island saw joint occupation for the next 12 years. In 1871, Great Britain and the United States referred the border dispute to Kaiser Wilhelm I of Germany to settle the ownership of the islands. He ruled in favor of the United States, thus ending the conflict, deciding the border to be at the Haro Strait. In November of 1872, the Royal Marines withdrew. 2 years later, the U.S. garrison followed. Today, both camps are preserved as exhibits on the island. Every day, the Union Jack is raised and lowered at the British camp, making it one of the only non-diplomatic locations in the U.S. where a foreign flag is raised over U.S. territory. This little corner of history will forever be remembered as the war where the only casualty was a pig.